sessions. The next one is tools, a technology to offer international search engine optimization or SEO to website localization customer by our speaker, Chris Roth. Let me quickly introduce you to Chris. Chris moved to Boulder, Colorado in 1996. He somehow got stuck there and somehow not regret it at all. Chris is now a global keynote speaker, and his full-service digital marketing agency assists local, national, and international customers with all of their online marketing needs. His international background makes him one of the few professionals in the industry who truly live and breathe a breath multilingual search engine optimization on a daily basis. When not obsessed with Google algorithm, that's tough. He can be found hiking, biking, and skiing a rocky mountain. I love that skills. He also enjoyed drinking with a coffee IPA at one of his favorite watering hole in Boulder and Denver area. Awesome, not the IPA, but we can definitely share that later. Please go ahead, Chris. The Zoom is yours. Thank you.
Well, let me share my screen here. My desktop. Woo, that intro was quite a mouthful, huh? Can you hear me okay, James?
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Let me start my timer here so that I don't go over, and we are live and ready. All right, so thanks so much for your interest in the presentation on tools and technologies to offer international SEO to website localization customers. It's a very tactical presentation. So I hope you guys will get a lot out of this session. I'm an international SEO expert, not an expert surfer. I think that's a picture from Gala, New York, 4 or 5 years ago. Anyhow, so in the next 20 minutes, we'll try to cover a ton of information. So James, I know you warned me about not speaking too fast. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to cover a lot of ground, so I'll be speaking fairly fast. You guys just have to pay a lot of attention. All right. Let's do this. I'm maskless. I'm here at home in my home office, like most of us, right? So we're going to talk about why you as a localization, as an LSP, should be offering SEO and ISEO. Then I want to take a look at how to perform basic global target market research. And then we'll get into the tactical stuff, such as source language website audits, keyword research, mapping, transcreation, etc., etc. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. All right, so at this point, let's do a quick poll. If you're an LSP, are you currently offering ISEO solutions as part of your website localization services? So yes, no, not sure, not yet, but we're planning on doing so in the near future. And then James, how long are we going to leave the poll open?
Probably about 20 seconds.
All right, cool. So if you don't mind, just quickly click on the appropriate answer here.
And then close in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please close the poll. Thank you.
All right, so wow, 40% yes, 40% no, not sure, and the small percentage potentially. Okay, cool, awesome. And actually, hey, as a follow-up question, and if you want to add your answers just in the chat, if you're already offering ISEO services, how often do you close that deal? You know, if they go for website localization, how often percentage-wise will they also let you do the SEO and ISEO? Be interested to learn about that number. All right, so why SEO, ISEO? Well, you guys are creating amazing localized websites that look and feel as if the website were created in that target country, right? unfortunately, my experience is that most websites are not properly optimized, right? So it starts with the LSP. It's something, in my opinion, that has to be offered no matter what. You know, can be a line item. Some LSPs, they now included as part of the website localization project. Some of you have a separate line item. Regardless, I think it needs to be offered, right? And if you don't know how to do it, you can work with somebody on the back end, somebody like us. But I think it should be offered, right? Otherwise, it's just a beautiful website that's not getting found in the search engines organically. All right. So the case for search engine optimization and international SEO, well, these guys came to us. I think they got hit by a Google algorithm update. They used to work with a cheap offshore vendor. They came to us, and then look at that, after applying SEO and international SEO best practices, we got them back on track, and luckily sales also increased in correlation with an increase in Google organic search traffic. For those guys, we implemented a English international SEO strategy, which is what I'm going to talk about in this very short presentation. All right, so we were targeting other English-speaking countries such as Canada, Australia, the UK, etc. All right. So before, if somebody comes to you, they say they want to localize their website, excellent opportunity for you to do a little bit global target market research. You can use tools such as Google Analytics, Google Search Console. Basically ask to get access. Hey, give us access to your Google Analytics. You do see a screenshot here, one of our customers. We noticed that they are already selling products into the UK. And we're like, hey, why the heck, why are we not implementing an international SEO strategy so that we can make the website appear more prominently in the UK, boost sales? And I have a nice example of a specific product that was taking off like crazy in the UK over the pandemic. Okay, so an awesome tool that I can highly recommend is called SE Ranking. It's right up there in the left-hand corner. So when the pandemic hit, we bought some workout equipment, running machines, bicycling tool. And then we have 5 females in the house here, my wife, 4 daughters and a son. And you wouldn't believe how many sports bras I financed during this pandemic, okay? They went online, they bought their favorite sports bra. Dad happened to pay for it. And check this out. In the US, the monthly search volume for the term sports bra, 74,000 people are searching for exactly this search term. During the pandemic, it peaked like crazy, right? We had to stay home, work out at home, etc. I noticed that in the UK, it actually spiked even more, right? So if you were a cool clothing store company that happens to sell sports bra, amazing opportunity to apply an English-only international SEO strategy. Also a tool that you absolutely need to be familiar with is called Google Trends. You will see where certain search terms are trending around the globe. Easy to implement an SEO strategy, right, for certain markets if you know how to do it. All right, so international SEO in action. So basically, if you're that cool sports clothing company that happens to sell sports bras in the US, you could easily create a language and country folder, in this case, EN-GB. That's the proper naming convention. And then, put up another subfolder or even just a dedicated products page where you can target your audience in the UK. You're going to have to apply tags such as the hreflang tag on the back end. There's some technical stuff that you have to do, but I mean, this is extremely easy to implement and you can tap into a new market right away. All right. Let's take a step back. If you do SEO for your clients, you want to do a technical site audit before you're going to localize into and optimize into other languages. Why? You don't want to replicate the same mistakes into 10, 15, 20, 30 languages, right? So here are a number of tools that we use at our agency. I'm not going to cover them in detail in this presentation. But basically an awesome tool for you to check out is WooRank. There's about 250 main ranking signals in Google's algorithm. The better you address all of these ranking signals, theoretically, the better the site will rank in the search engines. There's a lot of technical and functional ranking signals. So a tool like that will actually quickly take a look at the website and spit out, recommendations. Here's what you can do in terms of on page. Here's what you can do in terms of off page. So this is absolutely something that you need to do. It's the first thing that we do with our customers. We do an in-depth tech audit. We're going to fix the low-hanging fruit optimization opportunities, and then we'll dive into the on-page optimization, which I'm going to talk right now. Woo. All right. Oh, sorry. Another tool that you should be checking out. It's called Screaming Frog. It's a utility. We can basically spider the website, the backend, take a look at the meta tags, something we're going to talk about in a second here. This tool will give me a nice summary of, hey, there's meta tags missing, duplicates, too long, too short, etc. Awesome little tool to have in your arsenal there. All right. So now the website is properly optimized from a technical and functional standpoint. Now we need to know the keywords that we want to target. So I'll quickly talk about source language keyword analysis and research. As with localization, you're not just going to translate something that's not final, right? So before we go into international SEO, we need to know the source language keywords. A lot of tools, again, that we use for this process. You're going to get the slides, a copy of the slides. So I do recommend check them out when you have a chance. All right. Absolutely. My favorite tool is called Google Keyword Planner. This tool is part of Google AdWords. So you need to run an active campaign, hand over some money to Google in order to get the full functionality of this tool. It's well worth it, especially if you do keyword research yourself. All right. So one of our main SEO keywords for the chrisraulf.com website is international SEO services. All right, that's an umbrella term that basically describes who we are, what we do. I absolutely want to be found for this keyword in Google around the world. So you type in a seed keyword or the overall overarching keyword that describes your business. Google will tell you, hey, there's about 480 people globally searching for this keyword. And hey, here are some recommendations that you may want to think about adding to your target SEO keywords list. All right. So we usually download thousands and thousands of keywords. We'll boil them down to a manageable amount of keywords that we'll optimize for. And usually this takes anywhere from like half a day to a week, depending on the size of the website. All right, again, an awesome tool that I highly recommend, SC Ranking. It's a third-party tool. You're going to pay, I think it's 60, 70, 80 bucks. Same functionality like Google Keyword Planner. All right. Then Google Search Console. If you're not familiar with this tool, you absolutely need to get familiar because you'll be able to take a look at the keywords that are already driving traffic to your website. We use this tool to identify what we call the low-hanging fruit keywords, basically keywords where we're not in the top 3 positions that have a lot of decent search volume that we can easily optimize for to get into the top 3 positions. This tool does not provide the search volume, so you have to work with another tool to get the search volume. But there are also third-party tools such as SEMrush that provide that functionality. All right, essentially you want to create a target SEO keyword list like that. That's the one for the chrisraulf.com website. We target the world. So I want to know how many people are searching for these keywords in the US and how many people are searching for these keywords globally. All right. So now that we know all the keywords that we're going to optimize our website for, we're going to perform keyword mapping. All right. We use Google Docs for this exercise. What you see here is a real example of the chrisraulf.com website. We basically inventory the entire website, homepage, services page, etc., etc. right there. A simple Google Doc will do for this exercise. And then we assign 3 very closely related keywords to each and every page, because we don't want to confuse the heck out of Google. So you want to go with 3 keywords, very closely related. And then the next step would be to create optimized meta tags, which I'm going to talk about in a second here. All right. Keyword mapping, crucial to any SEO and international SEO project. All right. Let's talk about meta tags optimization. You're going to need, again, Google Docs and an SEO expert that can do that. So if you type a query into Google, a search term, international SEO training, Google will tell you, hey, you're going to have to beat other pages that are indexed in Google in order to get that #1 spot. Obviously, we know how to do this stuff, so it's not rocket science. We know how to do that. So this is called the snippet. All right, a snippet is made up of a URL. So on the back end, in the meta tags, you want to include a keyword in your URL. Then this is called the title tag. You want to include the most important keyword in that title tag, stick to about 60 characters. The description tag should be, you know, enticing if people read that. A call to action should be in there, and you definitely want to include 1 or 2 other keywords, stick to about 160 characters. And then we can create rich snippet content and site links by applying Google markup or schema. Here's a little checklist on how to properly optimize each and every one of your pages. You're going to get the slides, so you can read up on that when you get those slides. All right, let's talk about target keyword transcreation. All right, again, we use a lot of tool for this process. Let's say if you are a business that sells smartphones and you want to tackle the German market, I want to know what are people using in Germany to describe that keyword. All right, so I went to DeepL, a machine translation tool. That tool is telling me, hey, a lot of people happen to use the term smartphone in Germany. They also use the terms Handy and Mobiltelefon, right? So I went over to Google Keyword Planner and I searched in Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, because there are different locales, right? There's many more locales, the German locales in Europe. But let's take a look at how many people are searching for the equivalent of smartphone in those respective countries. Germany, most people search for handy and smartphone. Switzerland, Mobiltelefon and smartphone. Austria, the clear winner is handy. Most of you have probably never heard of this word if you're not in Germany or Switzerland or Austria. All right, so before you lock in the most applicable keyword that you're going to optimize for, head back to Google Trends and see how the trends compare for these keywords that you may be locking in. In this case, for Switzerland, we would want to lock in the search term handy. All right, so now we have transcreated the keywords. Let's transcreate the meta tags. And I had to do a little bit of digging, but eventually I found on the SDL website a not so great example. Most of the pages are done very well, but as you can see there, the meta tags, the title tag is too short, description tag is too short, and shockingly, the German equivalent of this page, the meta tags have been left in English. A major no-no and should be fixed right away. Many other pages are totally fine, so it took me a little bit of time to find this example. Yeah, so here's how you want to do it. Use research and transcreated keywords in the URL. The best smartphone does best the handy, right? Then be careful about text expansion. Usually German will expand about 30–40% over the English language. So it's going to be tricky to stick to those 60 characters. Use your main keyword in the title tag. And then same thing with the description tag. It's going to expand. So this is creative writing. You need somebody who's, who's really good at that, who understands how to create those search engine optimized description tags and title tags. And then, so if you do ISEO or SEO for your clients, make sure that you track the rankings of your keywords for your clients. This should be an ongoing effort where you help them create blog posts, optimize them into whatever target languages they go into, and then keep track of those rankings of the target SEO keywords. An awesome tool that I can recommend, RankWatch. There's many tools out there that you can use for that exercise. Here we go, international SEO services. We made it to the #1 spot. Took a little bit of time, but it's well worth it. And then we pull data simply into a Google Doc that we give our clients access to on an ongoing basis. We pull down the rankings on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis. We'll do whatever works for you and your customer. Yeah, and boy, just in time. That was a really quick and sort of like hands-on introduction to international SEO. That's my wife and I, we just hiked a 14er here in beautiful Colorado. And I'm available for any questions you may have. James, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Chris. A lot of information, and thank you so much for going over all the information. I actually learned a lot about SEO and marketing since it's not my domain, but thank you so much for that. The first question I have from Soren is that, Chris, how do you recommend to balance and consolidate the use of keywords for SEO and the use of the term regulated by glossary term-based in the translation process?
Oh man, that is an awesome yet difficult question, right? The answer, I have not figured it out yet, right? Because we still work with these localization, technologies and tools and glossaries, etc. And then we have the world of SEO and international SEO, and we really have to merge these processes. So I find it to be a struggle unless we can go in and really be the connector between, the end customer and the LSP. We work with LSP, we help them with the ISEO. We have to go in and really educate everybody and say, look, we need to add a column to the glossary. This is the SEO term, but we don't just want to keyword stuff the content. So it's a fine line of using, glossary terms, but also SEO terms. I hope that answer does. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Another question for Zalan is subdomains versus subdirectories. Which one offer more bang for the bucks?
It depends. I would go the subdirectory. It's definitely easier. You can set it up in no time. You build on the existing SEO juice that the website has already built. You simply add, subdirectory, etc. for the languages. It's probably the easiest to manage, but there are benefits to both options. Definitely, subdirectory has a lot of benefits too, but it's probably a little bit more difficult to manage. So I personally, I'll go the subfolder route.
Great, thank you. While the questions still coming in, one of the questions is, are you diminishing return on SEO when you get into the niche markets?
Are you diminishing return if you get into niche markets? So the way I understand this question, I think it depends, do you see a good enough return on investment? Sometimes even a small market such as Singapore can prove to be very fruitful, right? As long as you get found organically and people will buy your stuff. So oftentimes, we'll start with a small market just to achieve proof of concept. you know, and then build your way up, go into, you know, Australia, New Zealand, other markets, even before you tackle localized languages such as French, German, Italian, Spanish. I hope that answered this question.
Great, thank you, thank you. Other question that at least I have is like, I remember in the past that we don't want to automatically redirect the user base based on their language and IP address.
Correct.
Can you talk about that more on why we don't want or not to do that?
It's not ideal. And actually Google recently or a while back, they addressed it. It's like, you know, don't do it. If you do international SEO, it's not a best practice. It's annoying. You know, we travel these days and it's like, it's just not a good thing. Give people the option to select their language. Yeah, don't do auto selection by IP. It's just not a good practice.
And if to follow with that, if the locale language doesn't exist, do you recommend to fall back to the base language, or how does that work if the locale that this person would like to load doesn't exist?
I mean, especially with larger companies, they now accommodate specific locales, right? You know, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, you know, Luxembourg, Germany, etc. That is the best case. I mean, basically, the better you communicate with your target audience on a very locale basis, I think the more successful you'll be. But it's going to be expensive, right? So it's always, you know, return investment versus, you know, how much time do you have, resource allocate. So maybe you get away with like German, or like global Spanish, whatever. But my recommendation, if you have the time, resources to tackle it on a locale basis, go for it. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Another question comes from Catherine. What's involved for LSP to be able to start offering ISEO services? Like, do you need to hire ISEO specialists, or can existing team member to train to do this? If it's the latter, I mean, what would the best position to train for this?
Okay, so we work with LSPs on a white label basis, or they bring us in as a strategic partner. So there are companies like ours that, you know, you can find, just outsource the problem, right? Otherwise, I would hire an SEO expert, an international SEO expert. There's not that many of us, so that person is not going to come cheap, right? Or we, time permitting, we also do training. We're slammed. Everybody got caught off guard by this COVID thing. You know, everybody realized they need SEO, a better digital strategy. So I'm a little bit limited in time right now, but we do offer training. So you could train existing people. My experience is that it hasn't really worked out that well, because people need to be passionate about this stuff. They really want to do it. So probably more successful, hire an expert or team up with somebody like us.
I see, thank you. Another quick question is that if a product that has a very small audiences, how do you recommend or suggest using SEO to support that?
Well, those audiences are probably doing very specific long tail searches, you know, 3 or more words strung together. You know, somebody looking for, you know, some of the presenters that we heard here, they do very specific stuff, right? There's not that many of them that offer what they do, but there's also not that many people that search for that. So the connection is going to go through long tail keywords. Less search volume, but it's also going to be easier for you to rank at the top of Google faster by implementing an SEO, a good SEO strategy. Example, I just optimized for the search term affordable SEO packages. It's a long tail keyword, and even affordable SEO packages for small business. It took me no time to get to the top of Google. If you guys want to do a search at home, honestly, it took about 6 weeks, 8 weeks to get to the top. So these long tail keywords, they can be super lucrative if you are in a niche market.
I see. Thank you so much. And what a perfect timing, Chris, right on the clock. My God, this is like the
Wrist position.
precision. Awesome. Guys, thank you so much. And thank you, Chris, for awesome presentation. And thank you, Gala and audiences, for pouring all those awesome questions. Right now, we can take another 15-minute short break and come back. We have another awesome topics we'll be discussing. So See you in 15 minutes later. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Thanks so much, James.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.